And the majority of, let's say, small business owners, let's call them business owners, people who have watched my vlogs before, you know how I see those things now, business owners, you know, there are levels to the game with everything, and I've been a business owner, self-employed. And self-employed is also a business model you don't want to get into unless you want to be stuck to a location and get or become a slave to your own business model. Why do I talk like this? It's simply been there, done that when I was young, and now I live a life by doing everything from the phone, which is the ultimate level of freedom. I think it's even higher than doing everything from the laptop. But let's assume you're a business owner, a small-time business owner who sells commodities and maybe even a service. But let's talk about people who sell commodities, normal products. I see so many employees in their stores. Let's talk about stores. You know, those people don't do anything besides scrolling mindlessly on their phone if there are no clients. So what I would suggest, let's assume you're a business owner who wants more clients, then push your employees to, instead scrolling mindlessly, do the social media for you, posting every single hour, every single day that they are at your place of business. Make sure that they start posting on social media. And the thing is, a lot of rejections will pop up now, especially in the minds of the traditional thinkers. Yeah, but Dylan, I pay them just to give the product and receive the money, nothing more, nothing less, because I am the one who can do the more sophisticated stuff, like putting the stock into place and into the computer. Well, I'm gonna knock down this one, because I've seen this also here the past months. If you hire people that are not smarter than you, or at least equal, then you really should reconsider your level of what you accept from another person. And again, I'm saying this from experience, because I explained this multiple times in my vlogs. I hired many people willy-nilly simply because I really liked the characteristics, but I didn't look further than just a high energy level person. And this is also what I learned along the way. High level energy people, if they come up now with high level enthusiasm, you know, in the past I would be very quickly sold by this. You know, they were, yes, I would like to work for you. I had people who I did an intake. I didn't even ask, I did not ask a lot of questions, which I would not do. I just would, you know, observe them, how they react with other people. I explained this also before, but the thing is, I hired people in the past, and then I asked them, how much do you want to earn? And then I said, I think at that time a very young girl who wanted to start working in the bar, she said something, I don't know what, 450 euros per hour, and I said, I give you 650, without any, you know, proven record that they were actually reliable. And at the end of the story, they of course were not reliable at all. And why would I actually tell those stories now? Simply because I would, like this, I'm giving you a little bit report, you know, that the things that I'm saying, that they're valid. They come from a place of experience, not that I read a book about it, how to treat people. No, you should. And also when it's about treating people, I like to treat people with the highest level of respect, but it will always crack down bit by bit the more they show some and their red flags. And when I mention the word red flags, or when I say the word red flags, it's not about that people are bad, not at all. I'm not judgmental in that kind of way, but they don't fit with what I want. and really think about those things. So for example, if you run a self-employed business and you're a self-employed guy who bought himself a job, and maybe you hired 1 or 2 people, but the thing is, really start thinking how to increase the value of your investment. An employee is an investment. I walked I think last month into a business, and I see this person, I see the energy, fluffy hair, nothing is taken care of, scrubby beard and everything, and I know that's a little bit a fashion thing, you know, but you know, if there's hair all over the place, and you know, there are, see, I'm also obviously not a Brad Pitt, but the thing is, I'm trying to do my best what the guy upstairs gave me. So there is a level of effort, right? And the thing is, I also told the owner of that business, I said, you have to get rid of this person. This person is stealing from you. If you pay a person every hour a good amount, or let's say an amount of money, then make sure that there is some sort of return that is out of balance with the money that you invest. So what do I mean with this? I would try that at least when you invest, let's say 5 euros in a person, that the return that this person is busy on your place, that it's at least, and we're not talking about revenue, let's say profit, 4 times the investment. So how do you increase that value? Now, first of all, it's attitude of the person in the store. Grumpy people, fire them straight away. I see so many grumpy people, and of course they hate their job. And then I talk with multiple business owners constantly. So the thing is, I can say this from real life. The business owners would say, yeah, they're grumpy because yeah, I don't pay them enough. Actually, you're, as a business owner, are responsible to increase the value of this, also to make them more enthusiastic. Let me give you another example. We talked about collecting leads with one business. They have multiple businesses from so they have some sort of chain, but they don't collect any kind of leads. So the day that the business burns down, there is no database of previous clients, and that is of course the real goal: cross sales, up sales, down sales, etc., etc. That's where the real money is. That's where the money is when you sleep. But to get back to this conversation, this person said, yeah, we try to collect leads, and he talked about some kind of offer, a 10% discount, and or a free bottle of whatever. The thing is, and then they get 10% discount. So first of all, the 10% discount, you better do nothing. But next to that, the owner of the chain, he actually blamed it on the employee. And there are ways to reward your employees, right? You give them commission. Simple. For every sign up, let's say 50 cents. See, and now you're getting to a point, now I'm pointing on a point, or touching a point, where most, let's say, normal business people, they get a little bit anxious. They think, yeah, oh my god, now I have to pay per lead this and this amount. So you got, let's think about that part. So you got a customer, but to collect their details so you can reach out to them on automatic basis, you know, with any kind of real offer, and that's not worth 50 cents. It is. People, what I also noticed from another business, and it's somewhere in Malta, I'm also taking care of that. Those people, they prefer to boost a Facebook post instead of investing. And I suggested to do €1 per client over there, so it's in euros. €1 per client, that they become a lead that they collect. So, and you need to always have the consent of the person so you can reach out with promotional material. But depending also on what kind of industry you're active in, first of all, there are structures for. So if you're a little bit more in the high-end lawyers and or let's say lawyers, because we're also doing I'm also involved in a lawyer thing. You provide them with boatloads of information. So if you're a criminal lawyer and or whatever, you give them, you stack up the information before you start throwing with offers, and that is simply how you consider the price point. But if you talk about, let me think about my words, because I don't want to. So let's say you sell gifts, right? Small amounts of profits, but in that case, still the €1 investment for existing clients, and then before, let's say, Christmas, which is coming, that you reach out. Yes, they already collect on the website the customers' details, but if you also do it offline, see, not everybody is constantly checking their emails. There is simply a percentage that is going to be opened. See, let me also tell you this. What do I know about email? Well, I used to be in the cold emailing, and I had an open rate of 85%, and that's about cold emailing. And when it's about the click-through rate, I was above 60. So those numbers, people who are into the cold emailing, they understand that it's a good amount of click-through rates. You have to also see it like this. If you would collect, let's say, 1,000 emails from businesses or businesses that you would be interested to work with, and they have a click-through rate of 60%, then you would have 600 people would click on what you have to offer. So you understand a little bit what the potential is there of what I'm saying, of those numbers, right? So that there's 600 people who click on something of the 1,000 people, and we did massive amounts of cold emailing. Just to give you a little bit of insight of the cold emailing, massive things, we had over 120 Gmails from which we were sending, so you can a little bit understand, because at that time you could send out clearly without any problems 50 per email per 24 hours. So that was pretty good. So anyway, besides that, lead collection, that is where the value is. The value when you sleep. So when you, for example, done with your self-employed business, at the end of the day, you're gonna breathe on. Now let's assume you got a restaurant and you look at your numbers. So on Thursday, I'm just doing an example. On Thursday, your business is empty between 12 and 4, but you get at the moment 1,000 people on your email list or on any kind of list, and on your Instagram and on your Facebook. But let's talk about the email list. You send out an email, 50% discount between 12 and 4, for example, depending on the business that you're in. But let's say 50% discount to fill up the tables if you have a restaurant. Think about it. Otherwise it would be empty. And anyways, your employees already humping around. And when they just eating from their nose, they could posting things on your social media every single hour that they're on their place, on your place of business. And of course you need to check first what they do. But if people, and we all know most people are totally addicted to mindless scrolling, they do have some sort of idea. But the thing is, once they start getting busy with your business, looking for the content that actually might be interesting for the clientele that you do have, you can also see who is genuinely interested, or actually maybe would be would be a potential candidate for becoming a manager, because you will see who is really interested in something and somebody who's only over there at your place of business to collect the paycheck. And then you can filter, you can get rid of the rotten apples. It's another nice strategy to get rid of rotten apples. Talk a lot about getting rid of rotten apples, right? Especially when you get out of the normality. you get a little bit money and or more freedom, you know. But anyway, if you are a business owner, a self-employed guy, and you have a few employees, try to increase their value. You're paying for it anyways. And I'm gonna repeat this, you're paying for it anyways. It's an investment. Don't underestimate, because what I see, a lot of people see it, oh yeah, because the rest of the world does it, or at least with the world it means the people that they know or heard about in their own country. They do it the same as I do. Well, there is a thing about this, right? If you do everything what other people do, then you're pretty much, it's called mediocre. And if you're fine with this, of course, but I do know people who owned or run their own business on the same level for decades. And that's not how you want to get old. I don't believe this. I know a guy, he's already so fed up with his business. He's 60 plus. I'm actually thinking about what I'm gonna say about him. But yeah, he runs it over decades, and there is no change. It's even when you look through the window, it looks like it's a mess. It's a mess. And you know what? When I started my first real business, offline business, it was, if I would walk in now, I would also say, hey, I'm really honest about it. It's ridiculous what you're doing over here. But I also didn't have the knowledge, I didn't have the experience. And now what I'm seeing from people who are actually above 40, they are actually executing their business like I did when I was very young. And between that, yeah, I lost a couple of times, pretty much everything. But it doesn't mean that I have the insights and the experience how also not to do it, but also definitely how to do it. And in the meantime, every time when I build it up things, it also went faster. Not only this, I evolved mentally, physically I do also believe, but not only this, I'm doing everything from the phone. And those strategies that I'm using from the phone are upscalable, are evergreen, and it has so many extra benefits, like you will figure out what you really want. I talked about this. You start building audiences and later on monetizing. But by building the audiences, you will figure out where you're really interested in. Why? Because you will look for content that is attractive for the audience that you want to build. And at one point when you're fed up with it, had to look for the content. So for example, you got one about cars and one is about I don't know what, sandwiches, and you go totally willy-nilly about the sandwiches, and the cars thing, yeah, you think, oh, I cannot find any content anymore, I'm also not really interested. So you actually carved out what you're really interested in without wasting a lot of money, without wasting a lot of time. Especially when you start creating content, you will know what you're really interested in. Because you get very quickly fed up with audiences that you or have to create the content for audiences that you're not interested in. See, I got over 100 audiences, but let me tell you, more than 95% I'm not interested in. So I have other purposes for those audiences, but that's another story. For me, everything is a little bit different because I went totally obsessive into building audiences, but that's a whole different story. The thing is, Dotcom Baron, the website, will be soon back online, and I'm sharing everything for free, and everybody has a phone. Everybody who has a phone can do what I'm explaining on the site, and it can be done by a 12-year-old. That's how you can start building audiences. And let's assume you're a normal person who doesn't have a clue how to make money. Well, first of all, let's assume that you got a job. What do you do over there? You negotiated about a price for your salary, right? The height of your salary. So you're already in business. But the thing what you do now is selling your time on this planet. And I asked the question yesterday about how much time is your worth on this planet. You ever asked this question? So again, when you earn 3,000, your time is worth $100 a day. Is that the reason that God put you on this planet? Get every day $100, and then in the summer you need to beg for a holiday. So you don't want those things. At least if you want to get out of normality, you don't want to be a slave of somebody else, because you will be replaced in a finger snap if necessary, because the business needs to survive. Although there are of course people who are people, but the majority of, let's say, normal business people, and I talk a lot about, let's say, people who are actually only chasing money and pretty honorless, they will cut you off in a finger snap if it suits the situation for them. And of course you get used to your, I don't know what, to your colleagues and the environment, but that's the danger. Getting attached, you get attached to your daily routine because it's easy. You go home, but somewhere deep inside you do know that there's something horribly wrong. Because I also thought about this too this morning, and people with negative behavior towards other people, it's inside you, not you specifically, but people with negative behavior, people who are in a hating game, they're not, you know, that they need an exhaust. The daily fed up of things need an exhaust. And even they wouldn't, let's say it like this, most people would not even be honest about. Isn't just, you know, need an exhaust. Fight with their spouses, hate people for their color. You know, that's in my case. They do, you know, people who hate me for my color, I always say this. I'm gonna cut a reel from this, so I'm gonna say it like this. People who hate me for my color, ask yourself, how much do you like your job? How much do you like your school? How much do you like your self-employed business model? Checkmate. Because I live a life of freedom and I'm not in a hating game, but I want to make people somewhat aware that when you're in a hating game, it's not going anywhere. You're closing doors of opportunities. That's what you do. Business growth, personal growth, just close it. And negative behavior always finds very quickly other people with this with negative behavior, because it needs confirmation. Without confirmation you would not get in a hating game. You know, you need to walk around with people who are hating, also other people, because hey, if you really express your hate, yeah, it's better not to walk alone, because that's another funny thing, right? When I run into let's say people who are in a hating game, when they meet me alone or only three, and then they're always a little bit more quiet than when they walk with 10 or something, then they're always a little bit braver. And that's another thing, but we're not gonna get into this. Let's take or let's close the vlog for today. If you're a self-employed business owner, try to increase the value of your employees. And if you're one of those business owners that don't know what to do, just reach out to me. I'm always willing to talk, as long as there is some sort of effort, genuine effort, also the will to change. And because you don't want to end up 60 plus, sitting on your place of business and just maintain, survive maybe, and that's something that you don't want. That is not doing business. Been there, done that when I was young. Now I'm doing everything from the phone. I can go wherever I want, and on top of that I narrowed down to the level of simplicity that a 12-year-old can do it. So I assume you're 25, you go to school, and some of the 25-year-olds are going to say, yeah, my parents want me to go to school. Well, okay, good for you. But I'm talking to the 25-year-olds that don't want to become a slave, because if you continue with your school and after that you're going to work, get a mortgage, knock only one girl up, and then you're going to die. That's how it works. You don't want this. And you're going to spread the news about how happy you are with this woman. The first woman, maybe less than 5 women and then you say that you're the happiest person on the planet. And I always make this comparison, you know, if you only drank Coca-Cola, you cannot say that Coca-Cola is the best. But next to that, not only you cannot say that Coca-Cola is not the best or is the best, you know, you also cannot provide the best version of you in a relationship. Anyway, let's cut the vlog of today. Try to get as much return from your investment. I'm walking between the containers on my vlogs are raw and unedited, and let's close this one. Ciao for now.